And then we've got our fermented black beans.
I say more.
You want more?
Yeah.
That's too much, it's too much. I don't want to add any more. Hi everybody, it's Bill from The Walks of Life, and today we're gonna make steamed ribs. Now to be precise, they're actually dim sum style steamed spare ribs with fermented black beans. Now you might have seen this if you've been to dim sum, but my mother used to make it, pour it over rice, and that was it. One of my favorite meals as a kid. It's a super easy recipe to make. Probably the hardest thing is to get your ribs. You want to get your maximum bang for your buck, and with the spare ribs you can cook multiple dishes. The rest of this is going to be tips on this side, la meat on this side, and you can use it for soup. This is a little bit tougher, so probably best to use that for stir fry. For those of you who are pressed with time, you actually can go to Chinese supermarkets and even actually supermarkets that sell little riblets by the pound, right, Kaitlin? Did you go to the local grocery store near your apartment and you actually ordered ribs and?
Yep, I said 1 pound of those little ribs, please. And then I went home and I got to making this dish right away.
Now, another thing that you can do with this recipe, even though it's called a rib recipe, you could also use a pork shoulder cut and cut it into little bite-sized pieces, and then you get boneless ribs. All right, so let's get into cutting these ribs. I'm gonna set up here. I'm gonna put a damp cloth so I got a nice solid surface. But let's take this ribs here. This is a big honking ribs. I am going to cut off this flap of meat first and deal with it later. You can see the seam of the meat here. This is kind of tough, but there's a little rib here, so I'm gonna cut it like that, and then I'm gonna make a St. Louis rib here. So I am just gonna cut, and these are the soft bone ribs. Most of the time, Westerners, at least my friends, they're like, I don't really like these soft bone pieces. I want a riblet piece. And Chinese, like myself, for example, I actually enjoy both of them. I don't really mind them. You're gonna be the judge of that.
What kind of ribs do they use at the dim sum restaurant? Because oftentimes I've noticed the bones are very small.
They choose the runt spare ribs, like the big spare ribs like this, they don't give it to you.
Expensive.
Yeah, they're expensive and they're better used for other cuts like
whole ribs.
Actual whole ribs and everything. That's what people want in general. And I'm just gonna make a straight line. And then you have this rib tip that you can do a lot with. And now you've got a St. Louis rack of ribs here. Now the best ribs are gonna be the smaller ones for the steamed ribs on the ends. These ribs like this are really good for Judy's recipe where we grill these ribs. Now these rib pieces here start to get really meaty. So they're gonna be hard to chop. In my opinion, not the best for steaming because look how thick that is gonna be. And there it is, 1 pound of ribs. I'm gonna cut them all into bite-sized pieces. Make sure that you, and look, see this is a soft bone piece. People shy away from that. But then once I get into the hard bone, which is right here, I just give it a firm chop. And this is why Kaitlin buys this at the store, but it's not bad once you get used to it. Okay, bring these over to the sink to wash. So we're rinsing these ribs, get any blood and impurities out, but also we've just been chopping these ribs, which does often create bone spurs. But even if you get these at the grocery store, you do want to wash them just like we're doing right now. I'm gonna throw them into a colander, wash the hands, and then we're gonna go marinate the ribs. Okay, so these ribs have finished draining. We're gonna transfer them back to the bowl. Basically what we're gonna do is now add the marinade, we're gonna mix it up, and then we're gonna put it in the fridge for at least 30 minutes, but overnight for the best results. We're gonna add 2 teaspoons granulated sugar. Then we're gonna add 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Then we're gonna add a teaspoon of sesame oil, 1/8 of a teaspoon of fresh ground white pepper, 1 tablespoon of clear rice wine. Now you can use Shaoxing wine as well, but I like the clear rice wine because the wine basically sort of counteracts the porkiness of the flavors, has a cleaner flavor. After we marinate this, we're just gonna make sure we stir everything up. This is actually a really important step because everything has gotta be uniform. Once the ribs are marinated and you're ready to steam, you're going to prepare your fermented black beans. You can add anywhere from 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons. You can get at the Chinese grocery store. They're relatively inexpensive, but very fragrant and umami-like. I like to give them a rinse, but a lot of people just use them as is, just like this. But let me talk about a few variations really on this dish over the years. People put peanuts in it at the bottom, little taro bits because the taro is really fragrant and it's kind of like soft, and pumpkin and butternut squash. We have actually another whole post describing different kinds of pork ribs for Chinese cooking and spare ribs. So take a look at that one. And you might want to check out some of our other steamed rib recipes, which include a steamed rib with taro and garlic, and a steamed ribs with fermented red bean curd, which is an unusual flavor. If you don't like hot pepper, use a red bell pepper or use a green bell pepper. Some places add garlic and some places don't. So I'm not adding garlic to this recipe, and we never have. But if you like it, add a clove. Mince it up. Speaking of garlic, other people have asked me about the recipe. Hey, how about this black bean with garlic sauce? Now you can use that, but the black bean with garlic sauce is saucy. All of the ribs become brown, like soy color, soy sauce or black bean sauce color, and you get this muddy look. In my opinion, it's better to have these black beans on top, which is where we're gonna put them, and occasionally you get the umami of the whole black bean, and that's the taste and that's the texture that I like, and that's what I'm used to. Another ingredient, of course, is the infamous MSG. If you're gonna use MSG, it's best to put it in the marinade. Now, we chose not to use it because I think with the sugar and the salt and the wine, it's pretty good just like that. Okay, so I'm gonna de-seed this pepper. If you take out this pith, the spice level is going to be a lot less, so you want to do that, unless, of course, you're looking for super spicy.
But it's really not the characteristic of the dish.
That's right, that's right. This dish should not be spicy at all, actually. It's about 2 tablespoons here. Okay, so we've got our marinated ribs out of the fridge. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of cornstarch and our tablespoon of water. Luckily, I have this handy dandy spoonula. Gonna mix this all up, and then you get a nice silky coating. Okay, and now they're ready for the bowl. Now what you want to do is you want to make sure that the ribs are 1 single layer. That looks about right. Okay, so now that we have our ribs in the bowl, we're gonna sprinkle these peppers on the top, and then we've got our fermented black beans.
I say more.
You want more?
Yeah.
That's too much, it's too much. It's too much. Okay, I'll move this one from here to there. How's that? I don't want to add any more. All right, we've got our steamer set up here, and I'm just gonna pour some water in here, about a quart of water. Now regarding steamer rack setups, we do have a post on how to set up. If you have a wok, you just do this with a rack. If you don't have a rack, there's some other creative ways to do it, and we'll put the link in the description box. The water is boiling, and we're ready to place our ribs. That's about what we want. We don't want a crazy boil, but we want a steady boil, and it'll boil a little bit harder once I cover it. I'm gonna cover it, set the timer for 20 minutes. And here we go. Whoa, look at that. Ooh, we got a lot of nice liquid.
For spooning over rice.
That's right. Steamed ribs with fermented black beans, just like at dim sum. But more importantly for me, it's just like Mom used to make at home. You'll see that there's a lot of water here and liquid, but once it settles down, these ribs actually will reabsorb the liquid. You get ribs and you get the sauce. And this is a pleaser for kids, because I remember as a kid, I used to only eat the rice with the sauce and I didn't used to eat the meat. When I got older, we reversed and I ate everything. Nice and tender, so flavorful. I got a bit of a boneless one, and I have a little bit of the soft bone cartilage, and if they're the small pieces, I kind of just chew them right on down. Look at this rice, soaked in the juices. When you get these little black beans and you get these little flavor bombs. So good. This was an easy recipe. If you go and buy your own ribs, you'll have that extra processing, and while this was steaming, I just processed the other portion of the spare ribs for grilling. If you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed this dish, give us a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and visit us at thewoksoflife.com for more recipes. Thanks, folks. That's funny how people like that washing the hands bit.
They show the hand washing on Food Network.
Yeah, they used to show it, right?
Yeah, if I had $1 for every time I watch Giada De Laurentiis wash her hands.
They kind of smell a little like feet, dude.
You smell like feet.
I keep walking by and I'm like, oh, those are pungent.